we have Raya, Sama, Ece coming from I have the UAE, Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, and in Istanbul, Turkey, right? You're in Istanbul?
Actually, I'm coming from a small city called Burdur. It's like in the south of Turkey. So, yeah.
Right. So here's how we have 15 minutes, and I don't know if the three of you kind of act as a gang or if you split up your time, but we're going to try to keep to about our 15 minutes total, and how you guys want to split that up. I'll leave that to you.
So, hi everyone. My name is Raya. I'm the founder and chief executive officer of School of Humanity. School of Humanity is an American online high school with a really innovative learning model. We also do after school and summer school programs. And essentially, our mission has always been to reinvent education to better serve our species. And how we do this is in a couple of ways. Our entire school curriculum and experience is based around real world challenges. So we actually don't run courses, we run challenges, and these become the framework for a fully interdisciplinary experience for our learners. So instead of teaching in isolated subjects, the curriculum becomes completely interconnected and interdisciplinary. Another core part of our model and curriculum is what we call human flourishing. We do weekly flourishing sessions with our learners where we go inwards to focus on developing emotional, existential, and somatic intelligence to find meaning and purpose in life. Added to that, we place a huge emphasis on industry and industry connections. So all of our learners get mentorship from real-world experts and the challenges they're tackling, bringing guest speakers, as well as micro internships with real-world organizations. And for us, this is not an extracurricular thing, it's embedded into the core high school experience. In addition to running the programs that I mentioned earlier, we just actually launched our 4-year high school a few weeks ago. So we have 20 learners participating full-time with us, which is really exciting. And I have Sama and Ece here today who just finished the summer school with us. And all of our programs have a very similar model and curriculum with obviously different levels of mastery. So yeah, really to set the tone for the panel discussion and why we're discussing this, one of the key ways that we're different is we decided to say no to traditional international board exams and the standardized curriculum that comes with it. So whether it's the IB and A level, CBSE, all that stuff. So we created our own set of standards, and we really don't do exams. We test every now and then to gauge learners' levels on different skills, but really most of the evidencing of learning happens through project-based assessments and meaningful projects that allow learners to evidence certain skills, knowledge, or dispositions, and they're far more relevant and personalized than the traditional exam system. So this was a topic that we were very excited to have a discussion around. So without further ado, I am going to invite Sama and Ece to each introduce themselves, share a little bit about their passions and stories, and then I'll have a few questions for them. So Sama, if you're okay with starting, and then Ece, feel free to go next.
Well, hi everyone. My name is Sama. I'm 17 years old, and I'm graduating high school this year, hopefully. And I just finished School of Humanities summer school program, where I was part of the Future of Medicine pathway. And I think this is pretty much everything about me.
Fantastic. Thank you, Sama. Ece.
Hello everyone. I'm Ece and I'm from Turkey. And I actually just finished the summer school in School of Humanity as well. I was participating in the Art with Technology Challenge Path. And yeah, I'm also a senior in high school, so I'm working towards my high school graduation this year. Yeah, but other than that, I'm also currently working on myself, just, trying to come up with a few personal projects to see, what I'm good at in life, what can I do in the future. So I'm just trying to figure out my way. Yeah, that's it.
Thank you. So my first question to both of you is around challenge-based learning. So as I mentioned, at School of Humanity, that's our core, let's say, pedagogy. We have challenges such as future of medicine, art with technology, sustainable cities that set the tone for the learning experience. So my question to both of you is what is challenge-based learning from your experience as a learner? And can you share your experience with it and how you navigated it?
Okay, for me, I think like from my view as a learner, challenge-based learning is basically it's like a new approach to how we view learning. So basically, like the students are given a challenge, or we choose a challenge, which was what happened in School of Humanity. We picked a challenge. For me, it was tackling obesity in the Egyptian population. And basically, the way we approach this challenge or problem is through curiosity, through asking more questions, through research, and we attempt to solve it. And therefore, the whole experience becomes a learning journey. It isn't just speed-fooling information. We become curious, we ask questions, and we look for the information ourselves, and therefore we retain it faster, and the information sticks, and the entire experience becomes like a learning journey, and what we get out of it is we can do it again. We can repeat this whole experience over and over again, and we have a personalized approach to challenges in the future.
Yeah, I also fully agree with like 100% with everything Sama has said. But in addition to that, for me, the challenge-based learning would be, I would define it something like a real life simulation. So, in life, you wouldn't get, a choice of answers to your problems or your challenges. You would have to go out there and do your own research, like come up with your own questions, come up with your own answers. So that was something that really sparks our minds as well, because in a way you're kind of doing it all your own, because they're not like much of a outside help. Like, you wouldn't get a set of choices, as I said, or like very, very specific guidelines to questions. So it was also something that really helped me grow as a person, I would say. So this is how I would define challenge-based learning.
Fantastic. Thank you both. Those were all excellent ways of describing it. And for anyone that's interested in learning more about it, like we didn't invent this pedagogy. If you just go to challengebasedlearning.org, there's a lot of amazing resources and frameworks that anyone can use to run challenges in their schools or even for their own learning experiences. So my next question for you both is, what are some of the skills, knowledge, mindsets that you gained throughout your learning journey of tackling this challenge? And adding to that question a little bit, how do you know you've learned successfully, right? How do you know you have gained those skills, mindsets, and knowledge throughout tackling the challenge?
What I would say that I've learned are actually it's quite a variety of skills, but the main things that I've learned is you can't really ask enough questions. Curiosity is very important when it comes to tackling challenges, when it comes to real life. When you think you understand something, you really don't, unless you ask more questions. I've also learned app development skills because of the micro internship we did at the end of the 6-week program. Basically, my micro internship was to develop an app to help people with Parkinson's disease, and this experience not only helped me learn more about Parkinson's disease, it also helped me find a new approach to research, to challenges, to also logical thinking, because this required loads of logical thinking, and also app development skills. I've learned a lot of app development skills from this micro internship, but also the way I know I've learned something is how I perform now in school. Okay, it is it's nice to see the correlation between what I've learned in summer to what I can learn, what I'm doing now in school. So, for example, when I'm approached with a problem, for example, in a biology question or in a chemistry question, the way I approach this problem, it's very, very different to what I used to. So what I used to do is just try to recall the things I've memorized, to try to find out what I've learned or what I've read about the day before. But now, no. But now I ask more questions. I ask the teacher. I'm no longer ashamed of asking stupid questions. I can approach the problem in a bird's eye view, if that makes sense. I can break it down and I can attempt to solve it step by step. And not only does it save me time, but it also kind of helps me to find a pattern in future problems that I want to solve. And I think this is how I know I've learned a lot in this program.
Yeah, and for me, I would say, so again, there were a lot of things that we probably both intentionally and unintentionally learned. But to give a few examples, like one of the things that we did constantly was to do a root cause analysis of the problems that we were facing. So the one thing that I know that this skill has really, I really absorbed it was like, now whenever I face a problem in my own life, like at my school, or I don't know, whenever, let's say, I solve a problem on the news, then my mind constantly goes back to this skill of going to the root of the problem. So I'm thinking like, okay, so this seems to be the problem, but what would be the reason for that? Like, to go beneath the problem and really deep dive into it. So this is like, just an example of many of different things. But the way that I can pretty confidently say that I learned a lot of like real life skills is that now I can use what I learned, even if it's unintentionally, and just, try to work my way out of the problem or like the situation, and really try to understand what could be the root of that.
Fantastic. And the reason I asked that question is because exams are often seen as a way of proving you've learned something. And I think both of your answers show that there's other ways of evidencing to yourself and to others that you know how to do something, you have a certain skills. And so, yeah, my next question to both of you is, you experienced project-based assessments at School of Humanity, like we would have these little projects as well as the big project that you worked on in response to challenges. And I'm sure you've taken exams. And my question to you both is, what are the pros and cons that you see of each? Like, what are the pros and cons of taking like this project-based approach, and possibly there might be pros with exam-based systems, they exist for a reason, right? And what are some cons? So I'm curious about both of your perspectives there.
Okay, so pros, I'd say that challenge-based learning kind of sparks, as Ece said, it sparks something in our minds. And I would say it makes me enthusiastic. It makes me excited to learn more about this challenge and to tackle it. But because of this experience, I've also gained something that I think exams don't really prepare us for, which is real life problems and contributing to society. So not only do we find a challenge, we try to solve it, we attempt to solve it, but we also contribute to society. This is giving back to the world. I think this is very important. Also, it helps the information that we've learned, the research that we've done stick, if that makes sense. So instead of spending hours and days and nights memorizing some information in a textbook, you research it, you look for more sources, and you apply them. You apply them to your solution. You apply them to the problem you're perceiving. I wanted to say something, but yeah, and the cons, I think this kind of requires a background of biology or like science and math in general. So in order to attempt to solve a challenge, you kind of need a background on these subjects, and need a proper understanding to attempt to tackle these challenges and problems. Yeah.
And I may talk more about like the exam side of things. So in Turkey, like a pretty normal education system, you would have to take several exams in a term to, to be able to get a graduation level. Yeah, so I would say like the pros of this kind of system could be like you can really like examine how well like a mass of people do when they face a problem. Like, it would be really easy to say, okay, so 50 people, this is the question one, the right answer should be B. So if they've chosen the choice B, then okay, they're good. So you can do that when like the situation is about like a billion students. So yeah, they will require less human resources and also like less material resources. But when it comes to project-based assessments, it is actually, I feel like it is better individually to really see your own path and, okay, so you're gonna do a project and you can say that, okay, this is what I'm gonna work on. This is what should be my outcome look like. Then you would do, after a bunch of tries and fails and researches and all the other things. Like you would invest your own personal time on that. Yeah, but at the end of the project, you can always go back and say, okay, so this point I could have made something better out of it. Like, I could improve in that aspect. So when I'm trying to create something, I can focus more on this. So for me, when it comes to project-based assessments, like learning, it is so much better individually to really assess where you lack and where you can improve more. But yeah, again, as I said, you can't really, ideally you can't really do that to like 1,000 students. So yeah, that could be like one of the pros and cons.
Spot on. I think for sure there's a scalability problem, right? When it comes to assessing through project-based evaluations. But of course they have their benefits. So I know we've hit the 15-minute mark, so I'll stop here and hand over back the team. But thank you so much, Ece and Sama. You can find both of our learners on LinkedIn, by the way, so feel free to reach out to them and feel free to reach out to me. I'll also put the School of Humanity website on the chat if anyone's curious to keep in touch.